So I've been doing this for quite a while now, and it's come to the point now where a number of bands have approached me looking for me to review their music. And if it's like an EP or just a couple of songs, most of the time I'll wait until like a full-length album comes out. And this is one of those rare opportunities where a full-length album has been given to me. And I've done this in the past with other bands, and I always look forward to hearing new music, especially from those up-and-coming bands. So I've been having quite a blast with it. So let's just dive into it. Antony's Legacy's debut album. So as I mentioned, these guys approached me and asked me to review their music. It's comprised of two brothers, the Antony brothers. They are on the drums and the main guitars. They have a couple of guest players coming in. Derek Sheridan, and I always mispronounce the guy's name, the lead keyboardist for Dream Theater during the Falling Into Infinity era. He comes in every once in a while to provide some amazing keyboards. And the lead singer, and I know I'm going to mispronounce this, is it Marjan Geluk? Anyway, this guy brings a lot of great passion within the vocals. That kind of glam metal, but without going completely over the top. He always knows when to kind of dial it down a little bit. So overall, bird's eye view of what to expect with Antony's Legacy. And I guess the best way to equate this is kind of the Black Clouds and Silver Linings era of Dream Theater. But luckily, that isn't like a carbon copy of it. Like the closest that they got, as I said, there's a few riffs right from Pain and Illusion that are almost ripped out of Black Clouds and Silver Linings, especially for A Nightmare to Remember. But I mean, other than that, it did deviate enough away from that I could still get into and I can still enjoy.
When good dies, hope will carry us through hard times. When we pray for those heroes to save this world, you see everything we had is now gone.
So I'm going to touch upon some of the highlights first. Pain and Illusion is definitely the highlight track, stepping into the 11-minute mark, where it goes from just starting off very brutal, coming into more of a melodic section, handling of that transition from like a very brutal part to a very soft part. I like that they're able to do both very well. Now, if Pain and Illusion did a fantastic job of, I guess, providing separate entities and playing in both of those sandboxes, Scared, the second track, is able to combine the two into one piece. Being that it's only about 5 minutes or so, it limits them in terms of what they can do within the song, but that brings out a much more cohesive whole within the song overall. And another really standout thing that I need to mention that keeps me coming back to this album is how catchy a lot of these songs are. A really good example of this is the main chorus of Dirty Details, which is the third track and the longest track of this album, reaching into the 12-minute mark. It's that main chorus that's reprised again and again and again, and it is a little bit of that repetition that comes along with that really solidifies it within me, but it's also catchy.
It's better that you leave and don't come here anymore. This voice inside my head screams out dirty details. To see the mirror reflecting into my eyes.
And what I also really enjoy within the fourth track of Where We Belong is their ability to really handle that meaty aspects. I already said that they were able to handle that heavy aspect, but the meaty aspect, again, another longer stretch of music, this one coming in at about 10 minutes or so. Once we get into this section of music near the midpoint, mid to later half of this track, they really bring it down and really get that kind of head-banging aspect where it's just that dun 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 dun. I don't really want to talk about the drawbacks to this album quite yet, but I will mention it now that we're in the track of Where We Belong. Because this track does deal quite a bit with war and a little bit with, gun violence and things like that, when they actually sampled the sound of guns firing, especially like semi-automatic rifles, that's where I was just like, Guys, maybe not. This is where I'm like, I don't know. The current climate that we're facing ourselves in right now, especially with the U.S., like luckily being north of the border, we don't really have the same level of, I guess, hot button topic as the South does, but it's still, like, it really drew me out of the song when I started to hear that semi-automatic rifle fire within the sounds, and I'm like, guys, no, I seriously cannot endorse this, and I really hope moving forward that they think about the implications that they might have when they incorporate sound bites like this, because it can do a lot of damage. I'm going to leave that there and come into the next song, which is As the Moon Shatters. This is the most somber and mellow track off of the album, and again, it shows another facet of the band. It took those slower movements that we heard from Pain and Illusion, as well as a little bit from, say, like Scared, and it really hunkered down and really showed us the intimacy of the band. Like, this was them at their most personal, and it was also them at the most, like, one of the most beautiful moments because of that guitar styles that we have into that. That guitar playing near the midpoint of the song is just, it's just beautiful. And the album ends on a trip into the night. And now I'm going to talk about some of the drawbacks, because Trip into the Night provides a very good springboard for me to get into some of the weaker aspects of this album. And the first thing that I will say is the lyrics on this album overall. And I'm not just talking about Trip Into the Night, even though it's the most potent on Trip Into the Night. Overall, I felt like the lyrics on this album really need some work. I'm going to just focus on Trip Into the Night because that's where I felt it was the most glaringly obvious. I mean, some of the lyrics, I'm just going to move over here to put some of the lyrics here on the screen because it really, as I said, it needs some work. Now, I know this song is more of a story about this guy who's hiring like essentially a prostitute in order to fulfill his nighttime desires, but with some of those lyrics, it really brought me out of the song. Like, I'm trying to groove along and I'm listening to lyrics like that. I was just like, no. Again, it's one of those no kind of moments. Because I could not get into it. As catchy as the song was, because Trip Into the Night is a very catchy song. It's probably the most catchy song off of the album, even with Dirty Details and Where We Belong being very, very catchy. I have a problem singing along to it because of the lyrics and because of the like lyrical content. I cannot get on board with that. I'm just like, no. I also think that they really need to get into the meter of the song, because I felt like the lead singer, I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name there. It's almost like it's a mad dash to the finish line to get all the lyrics out within the meter. And so I feel like I know they put a lot of time into the musical content, and the music that's found on this is beautiful. Not knocking that. It's blending that music with the lyrics and finding the rhythm within the lyrics, because it is harder to find that rhythm within the lyrics. Really, that's the only main criticism that I have. The lyrics and the way that they're presented needs some work, but I mean, overall, the actual music that's found on here, I gotta say, for a debut album of some really green guys, it's quite astounding. Like, I'm praising this band for what they're able to accomplish. So overall, I've been really digging this album. It isn't perfect. I see the potential, and I'm very excited to see what these guys have in store for us in the future, because one thing is for sure, if they keep going the way that they're going to have a very bright future, and I'm very excited for that. So that's it for me for Antony's Legacy's debut album. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend you guys finding it. I've left some links down below for you guys to check out that single of Pain and Illusion, as well as an area where you can listen to the album. I believe it's on Apple Music. So if that's your streaming provider of choice, then definitely listen to it. That's it from me. Go check it out. I guess I should probably rate this album too, huh? So overall, this is a little bit of an interesting album to rate, but I think I'm going to stick with definitely download this album. This is a solid downloadable album. It's one that I would have on my computer without hesitation. It's one that you guys should definitely have on your computers. So thank you guys so much for watching. Go check out Antony's Legacy. Tell them that Note sent you. And that's about it from me. All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are definitely the best. And until next time, Notes out.